What if the moment you think you're failing is the moment your body is actually protecting you? Think Big Buddha challenge for charity, hitting a sub 30-minute goal, failing, not hitting that goal, a 12% incline, and humidity of up to 87%. Despite not hitting that goal, I actually did something much bigger. On Friday, the 16th of May, I did a charity event where I ran up the Big Buddha. Not only that, when I got to the top, I dropped and did 100 burpees before running back down. The build up to this genuinely did not actually prepare me enough for the run. Despite putting in the training, the day the challenge started, there was something so different about that air. Despite getting up at 5 a.m., doing my ritual of my yoga, my meditation, making sure I get up an extra early to drink my salts because of the amount you sweat. Despite all of that, and having the wonderful support from my partner and mindset coach, that run was one of the toughest things I've done both mentally and physically. You start the run with a 12% increase, and I swear it feels so much tougher. And then that's for about 2 kilometers before it kind of levels out. But then again, and this is what really got me, this was the toughest part for me. Despite everyone, including my mindset coach, saying that he's run it 72 times, saying that the first 2K is the hardest, I'm gonna disagree. Because when I got to that third K, I had the thought of, oh my God, can I actually finish this? I had this feeling of like, I'm gonna be sick. You know that feeling when you can feel it coming up at the back of your throat and you can taste saliva that just tastes so different, that your body is preparing. And I just could not go anywhere because I was so bound for time. The goal I set myself was to run up that mountain in under 30 minutes. That 3rd kilometer, something changed. Despite feeling sick, my whole face was so red. I was even wearing a thumb ring that during the run, this is me running up the hill with getting my arms going, I was like, something is wrong with this hand. And I looked down and I could just see my thumb and I could feel the blood like pulsating, and I could be like, something is wrong. And then I realized my thumb ring, which was usually very easy to come off, was so tight around my thumb. It was digging into my skin. I was like, I just have to get it off. I'm sure you can relate as a female when you're just so agitated, hot, that you just want to like rip off anything tight. The bra, anything just so restricting needs to come off now. This was me, but I was running up a mountain and had 2 people filming me the whole time. So this wasn't going to happen. Instead, what I did was took that ring off. I wished it well and thought I'm going to leave a bit of myself here on this mountain in Thailand and sent it well into the bush. The relief from my thumb, even that small relief, it was like a, oh yes moment. And then I continued. The last kilometer was another hill and then a bend and then another hill and a bend and another hill. And I was running so slow, I probably could have gone backwards, thinking 1 foot at a time. My breath and my oxygen going in, I was like, I can feel this is not a good way to regulate your breathing, but at the same time feeling the pressure of the time, knowing I have such little time left to make it up there, and also thinking, just do not stop, don't change anything, just keep going. Probably not, I'd say, the safest way to complete this kind of a mountain, because at the end, when I did look at my heart rate, an average over those 30 minutes, my average heart rate was 178 beats per minute, ranging from 153 to over 180. It must have been the late 80s. And I was like, okay, any wonder I was feeling so uncomfortable. When I saw that final Big Buddha, this massive monument in front of me, and I saw the 2 supporters. So I had my partner there and the mindset coach who was screaming for me, shouting for me to run. Managed to pick up some form of a sprint, which is probably just a jog, but it felt like a sprint at the time, and got to the end. And I felt this instant relief as I firstly looked down at my watch and my heart just sank. The time was 31:28. And I just thought, oh, I failed. I haven't done it. Now, if I had left it there, it probably would have been a bit of a downward spiral. However, I had to then do 100 burpees. So it was a case of putting that time to a side. I grabbed a quick drink, and within 2 minutes, I was on the floor in the gravel doing 100 burpees. Doing the transition from the run, the moment my heart sank, to pick myself up to having to do the burpees, was this experience that I have felt many times before. And those of you watching that have ridden competitively know this, where you might have you've just done a class, but you know you can't dwell on it much because you just have to pick yourself up for the next bit. So it's a form of, we almost have to teach ourselves to regulate our disappointment, to regulate our emotions, because we know we still have the next part to complete. And also we know that this isn't about us, because fundamentally we always have our horse with us. We always have our partner who we know that we need to be calm, focused, and ready for what is about to come. Your horse isn't thinking about the last class going, oh gosh, that judge gave me 63 when I needed a 65% to qualify. The horses don't think like that. And that's actually a blessing. So that's genuinely the mentality. And I thought, I felt this before, and it was thanks to the riding career. Picking yourself up, not letting the disappointment, the self-sabotage, the failure that I had on myself, let that take over because I had 100 burpees. Those 100 burpees, oh my gosh. The first 30 didn't feel too bad. The second 30, I was like, okay, this is tough. In the past, when I've done burpees, I can manage to get into quite a nice rhythm, and as hard as they are and as uncomfortable as they are, I can just kind of keep myself going. By about 50, I was like, I have another 50 to go. Broke it down 30, 30, and then I did another 30, and then I finished off the last 10. And that final jump of, oh my gosh, this is it, felt incredible. Not from like a dopamine hit of I feel amazing, just over my body was like, thank God that bit is over. On reflection, and this is what I really want to give you as a teach from this episode today, is I was in my luteal phase of my cycle. Now, female riders out there, the minute you start to track your cycle and recognize patterns, which normally happens within the third time you've done this, because then you have enough data to identify patterns in how you feel, maybe how your mood is, maybe how your eating's changed, maybe how the pains in your body have changed, or even just general energy shifts. Because I've been doing this for a few years now, I recognized, unfortunately, going into this, I'm in my luteal phase. Now, the old version of me not having the knowledge would have almost felt like this was a hindrance to me. But because I know I was in this phase of my cycle, I know how I'd normally feel, which for me is more tired, craving more carbohydrates, and just feeling a little bit more low in general. Before the race, I did slow down my work level. I still walked, I still did my yoga, but I prioritized rest because I know that's what my body needed. And this is the key, this is the secret that more female competitive riders need to know. When we understand our cycle, by the way, there's no one size fits all, which is a blessing as well, because my cycle symptoms are not going to be the same as yours. But when you know what yours are, you can put in practical tools to help you thrive. There is none of the stigma of, I'm a woman, I've got hormones and they're holding me back. No. We have been conditioned to think of our periods and our menstrual cycles as something that holds us back, when we actually tune into this wonderful gift that we've been given that's so unique and powerful to us, the game changes. You can thrive all the time, month by month in your cycle, when you know what phase you're in, because you have the practical tools to help you during that phase. And then you can also do things like lifestyle changes, so food changes, training changes. There is so much research to show, even when women just change the amount that they do weight training, how impactful this is and how much muscle and performance can improve when they just change it and alter that into the follicular phase compared to the luteal phase. This, again on reflection, was not about running. This was about understanding my body to a whole new level, selfishly, but also understanding that the mental and physical determination to get up that mountain was not about me. It was about the money that we raised as a collective to help these rescue dogs. And I also learned that as women, we need to stop pushing ourselves every damn day. Most of us as female, especially the determined, passionate, so career-driven type of equestrian female I'm talking to, because I'm one myself, we think that we need to push ourselves, eat and train like men, when we have been taught to do this incorrectly. We are women, we have hormones which are amazing, because when you tune into that and you tune into your cycle, understanding it, not kind of like woo-woo kind of stuff, scientific, but also linked to you, your personal flow, your personal hormone change, you will thrive every single month. I can guarantee that. Now, as someone who was in her luteal phase, knowing this, coming into this training, this is what I altered. First of all, recognizing that the progesterone is higher during this phase, which means that if I was in the follicular phase with my estrogen being higher, my training could have been harder, my recovery would have been easier because of the wonderful gift that estrogen provides. Also, I would have had a little bit more support from her in terms of my motivation and energy to keep going. Because I was in the progesterone phase, everything is almost reversed. Estrogen is down, progesterone, she's higher. Now she brings in that calm state. She wants that, she's craving that. So I knew that during this phase, my sensitivity to higher cortisol would have been there. So I did a lot of practices to bring my cortisol down. That includes things like prioritizing sleep, hydration, carbohydrates. You heard that right, ladies, don't fear carbohydrates. We need the glucose. My muscles needed the energy, the quick releasing energy, not from fats, not from protein, but from carbohydrates to help me get up that mountain. So especially 4 days before and the 2 days leading up, I really increased my carbohydrate to help me through this. If I did not have the knowledge of this, I would have found that entire event a lot harder, and I sacrificed my body even more so. And this is what a lot of women are doing every day. So many equestrian females skip meals, live on coffee. They think, or they don't understand when they're gaining weight, they're gaining fat, their jods are feeling tighter, their blazers, the show jackets, they're thinking, I can't do this up, but I'm not eating anything, so what's going on? It's because of your high cortisol and you not understanding your symptoms in your body. So for me, the luteal phase, I had an increased sensitivity to cortisol. I knew my recovery was going to be slower. I also knew that my coordination would be just a little bit off, and this is shown across so many other disciplines in sport, rowing, tennis, archery, where coaches will say, I know when my female athlete is in that latter phase of her cycle because her coordination is slightly off, and that's because progesterone is higher. So instead of self-sabotaging, it's understanding, okay, we're in this phase. This is fine. We're going to practice other routines, which are still, by the way, fundamental for the holistic and the entire wellness of being an athlete, but it's just knowing where you are at so that you can thrive every single week. Another part that can happen, and by the way, these are so individual to you and me. For myself, I recognize that during the last 3 days, I tend to hold more water retention, which is just my body preparing to bleed. I also notice changes, some sensitivity around my breasts. I also can notice a change in my lower back. All of this is because the prostaglandin is being released, which is when you are then ready to bleed. So what I did, because I now know this and I track my cycle, I prioritized things that help me regulate my nervous system, bring me back down. And again, being really honest, I'm a practical person, the bra I wore on the day was fundamental, because there is so much research now showing that women, especially in high energy sports, but also high impact, that are obviously having a lot of movement through their breast tissue, how much damage and irritation and uncomfortable that can be caused. So having a highly correct fitting bra is fundamental, and this was my big priority on the day, was knowing and recognizing the symptoms of my period that were about to start. I prioritize a really supportive bra, and this should be educated and taught to more women, especially equestrians, because when we're doing our sitting trot and having our breasts bouncing, and honestly look into the research as to how much your breasts bounce during this movement. Okay, it might sound a bit funny, but the long-term effects of that can have some really significant impact on your breast tissue. So really prioritize the comfort and understanding of a supportive bra for these kind of movements that we're going through. This reminds me of one of my clients who is a phenomenal rider. She is doing such an incredible job, but she came to me because she was struggling with these severe energy crashes. Her symptoms of her cycle every month were debilitating, and she was like, I need help with this. I'm in the international arena, we're wearing white jods, I need help. My flow is too heavy, the pain is incredible, it's getting worse every year. She would say to me, what I don't understand is that I'm doing the same things I did in my teenage years, and I'm now in my 30s and it's not working. And this I say with a lovely smile on my face, because all of us do this. I've done this, and this is what clients come to me with, is what we did in our teenage years is not going to work in our 20s, won't work in our 30s, 40s, 50s. You get the point. Every single hormonal change we go through as women, which averages every 10 years, some of us it can be shorter, depends on your lifestyle. This means that we need to adapt our lifestyle to these new changes all the time. And this is where we almost get stuck in a rut as females, because if you're like me, I'm quite stubborn, I'm very proud, but I also know what used to work. So I will go back to that very quickly, instead of thinking I'm an entire 10 years older, why would that work for me? So when we started working together, we looked into factors of her sleep. Her nutrition is fundamental. Most equestrian female undereat. We then looked at actually what is her nervous system like? What does she feel like after a day of competing? After a week of intensive training, what is she feeling like? We deep dived in this entire, I call it her lifestyle, so that instead of giving something generic, it's personalized, it's tailored, and most importantly, you, and in this case, she now has a true understanding of her menstrual cycle, and it is a unique plan for her, so that month by month, she knows how to adapt her lifestyle and still train, still compete at a high level, but most importantly, do it pain-free. And most importantly, show up a better version for herself, which guess what, has a direct impact on your horse. And this is what she said, Nika, I've noticed I'm saving money because now that I'm more in tune with my health and understand the days where I need to maybe take it a bit easier, maybe do some more groundwork instead of riding, my horse's back has improved. You've heard that right. Less fees on the physiotherapist, on the chiropractor, because she's actually not pushing herself so much, where her stress, her discomfort is taking its toll on her horse. That might be a hard thing for you to hear, but they are so connected to us. And when we are slightly off, if we're slightly annoyed, frustrated, if we're in discomfort, pain, we hold our body a certain way, which our horse picks up on. They know, they feel everything. 3 months after working together, she is a completely different person. Cycles are regular, pain-free. The heaviness has reduced dramatically to now wearing, and by the way, ladies, remove those tampons, especially looking at where your tampons are sourced from. There is chemicals in there that could really be affecting your hormones. So she's not only wearing a pad when she's on, we've now developed and understood her breast in terms of her relations to her symptoms of her cycle, the period pants that she can now wear. All of this is more comfortable, which means the anxiety has reduced, which means that she's showing up competing a better version of herself every single weekend. She also understands what to eat, when to eat, and how to eat to optimize her hormones, to optimize her life as a time-poor equestrian athlete. So to finish off, I'm going to give you 3 tools to take forward from this episode today. Tool number 1, track your cycle. Stop guessing. It is the greatest gift that we've been given, the cycle. It's just unfortunate that so many of us have been conditioned over years, for probably the day that we started having our period, to think of it as a horror film. Let's face it, most of us have nothing nice to say about a period. So number 1, track your cycle. Do this every day for about 3 months. You will find a pattern. Number 2, train accordingly. And by that, I mean, we have so much research to show that if we tune into the follicular phase, push ourselves harder in this phase, we will not only recover quicker, but we will actually increase our overall strength, muscle, whatever it is you're working on, whether it's you want to build muscle, you can build it a lot quicker in this phase with, this is the caveat, taking the understanding of during the luteal phase, you train less, you still train, but you train less, don't push for PBs, and also understand that your recovery will be a lot longer. When we tune into this, genuine game changer as an athlete. Number 3, tell the truth with yourself, with your coach, and with your horse, because your horse feels everything. When you are feeling off, speak about it. So many of us as females are almost afraid to speak up. We think, when I'm feeling off, when I'm feeling low, when I want to have a cry, I'm weak. When I want to just tell someone how I'm feeling, don't speak up, because you're being emotional, you're being hormonal. These stigmas need to change, because yes, we are hormonal, but what a gift this is, because when we tune into those hormones and we understand them, we can really understand how we can thrive every single day, week, and month of our life. I didn't make the sub 30, but I challenged every single piece of myself on that mountain. And what I saw was a woman that is no longer ready to abandon herself just for an outcome. That 31 minute 28, so 1 minute and 28 over my goal of hitting sub 30 was not a failure. It was a lesson of self-compassion, a lesson of understanding, and a lesson of resilience. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and if you have a question, leave a comment below.